How much of what I'm saying do you understand? If I were to stop mid-sentence and ask you to summarize what you heard, how would you do? You heard anything at all? This isn't some elaborate psychological experiment, although that would be kind of neat, right? This is life. Life with its jibber-jabber, its chitter-chatter, its endless conversations. And yeah, sometimes it feels like we're all just making noises, doesn't it? Talking, but really not communicating, not connecting. Now, when we talk, and I mean real talk, not this fake version of it. When we talk, we have the intention to convey something, right? An idea, a thought, a feeling. But the funny thing is, and bear with me here, because the funny thing is that while we're talking, we don't really know if what we're saying is getting through. Like, have you ever had that moment when someone tells you something and you nod along, you say, "Yeah, I understand." But deep down you're thinking, I think I just pretended to understand? Yeah, that awkwardness. That's the reality of communication sometimes. So let's talk about jibber-jabber. Let's talk about the noise, the chatter, the constant hum of words. Why does it matter? Well, because sometimes it can feel like we're all just making noises, gibbering and jabbering, but not really connecting, not really understanding. Look, I get it. Sometimes it feels easier to just let the words flow, doesn't it? Let them bounce off the walls, let them echo in the room. Because when the rubber meets the road, when we actually have to articulate our thoughts, put them into words, give them shape and form, it can be daunting. Yeah, scary even. It's like we're afraid that if we say something, if we express ourselves, then we might have to listen to someone else. And that scares us, doesn't it? All this noise, this discomfort, it's easier to just drown in it. Here's what I'm saying. When we talk, we have the intention to connect, to communicate. But sometimes our words, our carefully chosen words, they fall flat. They don't land. And that's because the person on the receiving end, they're not always hearing what we're saying. Now, this isn't because they're deaf, not because of an accent, not because they don't care. It's because our brains, they're filters. And yes, I know that sounds weird. Our brains, they're filters. What do I mean by that? Well, this. We catch only what we want to hear. The rest, the words, the phrases, they just bounce from one ear to the other like pinballs in a pinball machine. Yeah, you heard me. We selectively listen. It's a survival mechanism. It's also a defense mechanism. We filter out what we don't want to hear because it makes us uncomfortable. Maybe it challenges our beliefs. Maybe it forces us to confront something we'd rather ignore. Whatever it is, we filter it out. And that's where ignorance lives. Not in silence, but in refusal. Refusal to open the mind. Refusal to even consider what's been unraveled and told. We've all been there, haven't we? We've all clung to our own beliefs, held our attitudes tight, wrapped them around us like armor. And yeah, that keeps us safe, blissful even. But here's the catch. Stay there long enough and you'll find it hard to coexist, hard to understand, hard to connect. Because half the battle is listening, the other half, speaking. You see, listening isn't passive, it's active, it's engaging. It means acknowledging the other person's perspective, even if you don't agree with it. It means empathizing, trying to see things from their point of view. In a world where everyone's talking, everyone's trying to be heard, listening is the most underrated skill. It's also the most essential. And yeah, sure, you can argue that speaking is equally important, and you'd be right. But here's the thing, you can't have one without the other. Think about it. If no one listened, then speaking would be pointless. It'd be like shouting into the void. On the flip side, if no one spoke, then listening wouldn't have anything to work with. It'd be like trying to grasp smoke. Words, they're fragile. They're like glass. Handle them carelessly and they shatter. A careless phrase, it becomes a weapon. A sloppy sentence, it becomes a wall. But a well-chosen word, now that's art. That's clarity. That's a bridge across oceans. Speaking, it's not just about stringing words together. It's about being mindful of the words you choose, how you say them, and why you say them. It's about understanding the weight of each syllable, the pause, the intonation, because all of these things, they communicate, they convey volumes. See, that's the thing about words. They're powerful, but they're also vulnerable. They can evoke memories, trigger emotions, open old wounds. Think about a well-told joke, how it lands, how it makes you laugh, or a well-written poem, how it resonates, how it stirs your soul. Words, they're not just sounds strung together. They're tools of expression, connection, understanding. So when we speak, we have to be mindful. We have to be aware of the impact our words can have. We have to understand that the other person is not just hearing our words, they're hearing our experiences, our emotions, our beliefs. Here's the thing. Most people, they only understand a fraction of what you said, a sliver, a piece, a puzzle without the box top. They'll take your words, chew them halfway, spit them out, and call it digestion. You've all been in meetings where words are tossed around like frisbees, haven't you? Where jargon fills the air, where acronyms become the language of the day. But do those words really mean anything? Do they really convey anything? Or are they just sounds, just noises designed to impress? The truth is, most people won't remember what you said, not because they don't care, but because they're bombarded with information every day. Their brains, they're overloaded. Their attention spans, they're shrinking. So if you speak to paint a picture. Be clear, be concise, so your recipient doesn't just hear you, they see you. And let me tell you something. This applies to all areas of life, relationships, friendships, family, work, life itself. When we enter a conversation, we bring with us our baggage, our experiences, our biases. We tend to see the world through our own lenses, don't we? We interpret everything based on our own frame of reference, and that's okay. It's natural, but it also means that we have to acknowledge that the other person is seeing the world through their own lenses, their own frame of reference. So next time you engage in a conversation, ask yourself this: am I really listening, or am I just waiting for my turn to speak? Am I trying to understand the other person's perspective, or am I just formulating my response? Are my words adding value to the conversation, or am I just making noise? Listen to understand. Speak to be understood. That's the art of communication. That's the essence of human connection. And I know it's not easy. I struggle with it every day. Heck, sometimes I don't even know what I'm saying. But that's the beauty of it, isn't it? That we're all flawed, we're all imperfect, and yet we try. We try to connect. We try to communicate. We try to understand. And in that imperfection, in that struggle, we find humanity. So here's to understanding, here's to listening, and here's to speaking. May your words be few, may your actions be many, and may your understanding be boundless. Until next time, thanks for tuning in. And remember, jibber jabber, chitter chatter, does it really matter? Only if you choose to listen.